Macaroni in a pot, that's some wet ass. Hey guys, and welcome back for another hair video. Today, we're gonna be covering parts and how to find the right part for you as a guy. To enhance your user experience, timestamps and chapters have been added to the play bar and description of this video, organised by Thomas in Action from YouTube. Before we get parted today, I did just want to take this moment to ask for your support by smashing the button that looks like this. It's very, very important right now, guys, particularly with this current time in social media. And if I want to keep creating long-haired content like this, I need you to smashy, okay? Today's topic of finding the best part for you came about from my last set of questions that were submitted for my Q&A. However, this question didn't make it into the Q&A because I actually thought it deserved its very own segment, which is exactly why we're here talking about it right now. So first of all, let's look at what parts are even out there for guys, and then we'll discuss which one is the best for you, okay? Actually, there's also a subcategory called sweeps, I like to call them, and they're actually the most common way that we see guys wearing their hair today, and it's probably the reason that you're attracted to long hair in the beginning, but I will explain that later, okay? But let's start with the parting, and we'll go from the least popular to the most popular. How about that? I would definitely grab an alcoholic beverage and drink every time I say part, because you're gonna be drunk by the end of this video. So part number one is the zigzag part. I personally hate the zigzag part. The disorderly look of it gives me anxiety, and I see this part mainly on female news anchors. You know, the chick that's like, "Hi, I'm that lady from the news that constantly bombards you with terrifying news stories because my boss wants you to be afraid of everything." Yeah, that chick. Guys can wear the zigzag part, but it's not very common, and I've never seen it before on a guy, and even still, I'm never gonna try that part because I think it looks awful anyway, and this is the only part and segment I'll be doing on that part, okay? The zigzag part, bye. Part number two is actually quite an uncommon one that we don't see a lot either for guys, but it's actually quite cool, and that's the off-center part. Here's a really good example of what off-center parts look like. We've got one from the Man Buns and Mains community, and we also have one on Chris Hemsworth, who wears it very well, in my opinion. Part number three is the middle part. So the middle part is really hip right now, pretty much for men and women. The only thing is, this part in particular is the culprit behind why we get mistaken for Jesus all the time, okay? Honestly, I even see it in myself, and I'm like, whoa, that look is not for you. And then you see people like Jared Leto with it, and you're just like, fuck you, man. You have no idea what I've been through, okay? Yeah, anyway, moving on. And part number four is the side part. So being the Man Buns and Mains talent search extraordinaire, this is probably the second most popular parting style that I see on guys with long hair. The way we can tell a side part, aside from a side sweep, is the direction of the hair. There's a very distinct disconnect. So you can see here, the hair goes down, the hair goes over. That is a part, okay? Take note of that, because when we look at the side sweep, they're very similar, but they're different. They're not the same, okay? It's like Canadians and Americans and New Zealanders and Australians. We sound similar, but we're not the same, okay? We're not the fucking same. Okay, so now that's all of our parts out of the way. Just to recap, we had the zigzag. We have the off-center part, we like you, hang around more, we want to see more of you. We had the middle part, you look good sometimes. We also had the side part, oh, VIP, come straight through please. But now let's talk about sweeps, okay? So sweeps are the bomb, particularly the side sweep. Now, out of all of my Man Buns and Mains talent hunting, this sweep is the most popular, the most sexy way for guys to wear their long hair by far. And that's not me just saying that because I personally like it the best. This is the side sweep is what I wear most of the time. It's just fact because I see it so much when I'm scrolling through the newsfeed on Instagram and also in the Man Buns and Mains group, which if you haven't joined, you should join. The difference between a side sweep and a side part is a side part has that distinct, you know, disconnect with the hair going in two separate directions, whereas a side sweep kind of fans out over the back of the head. You've still got the side and the downwards motion, but there's just no distinct parting in here, right? Like this hair goes back, and it just gives this really nice swooshy feel with no part. And although we are talking parts today, take a drink, it's still worth mentioning on this video because it is a style of wearing hair, okay? And finally, for the last styling option on my list, we've got the back sweep. So again, similar like the side sweep, this is just with all the hair swept to the back with no part at all. And you know, tucking it behind your ears can look really cool. I do like a back sweep. I don't wear it a lot, but it's really classic and I love it. I think it's quite common for guys with long hair because I guess it looks good and sharp, but it's also really simple. You don't have to do much for it. So yeah. Okay, now we've covered all of the parting options. Why don't we go into which part is going to work best for you, okay? The first thing you'll need to know is what your face shape is when you're working out what part's gonna work for you. If you have no friggin' clue, then I'm glad you asked. There's a video on how to figure out your face shape just down below. Kim and I filmed that a while ago, and you should pause this video and go and watch it, and then come back and watch this video once you've gotten the value out of that. I did leave the heart face shape out of that video, so I am gonna include that in here. But yeah, if you're gonna get value out of this video, you should watch that video and then come back, okay? Do also keep in mind that the following recommendations are just my opinion and based on what I learned in hairstyling school. Realistically, you can wear whatever hair you want, whatever part you want, but just based on proportions and what is classed the most pleasing is what I'm going to be covering today. Pleasing to the human eye, that is. Okay, so first up, let's correct my mistakes and start with the heart face shape, okay? The parts or sweeps that are going to work with this face shape include, okay, the off-center part. Most guys that have a heart face shape, right, it's like Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z, they'll have a widow's peak that points down here. It's not a bad thing, but it's usually something that people with this face shape get insecure about, okay? And what the off-center part is going to do is going to help offset that harshness of the point and kind of draws the eye away from the fact that it's even there, okay? Note to self as well, heart shapes will want to avoid a center part because when you have a widow's peak, it can look and sit really odd on the face. Like if it's parted down the middle here, it just draws more attention to it. And I mean, if you want to go for that look, sure, it's just not the most flattering, okay? And if you do have a heart face shape as well, and you're not a fan of the widow's peak, don't wear a sweep back because it's just gonna show off that point even more. Okay? Next, we're gonna kill two birds with one stone and cover the diamond and oval face shape. When it comes to the length of your hair, you might wanna consider some different options for these two face shapes, but when it comes to parting, they're pretty much exactly the same. And in a nutshell, all of the parts and sweeps that we spoke about are gonna work with these two face shapes. The most flattering for a guy though, in my opinion, is the side sweep or the side part, particularly because the features on both these face shapes are quite even, and when the hair's coming from the side, it kind of changes and shags it up a little bit and gives it a bit more edge. Center parts can also be really flattering for these face shapes as well. They draw more attention to the center, making it appear longer, and that's usually why the women like to go for wearing a center part, and it can look amazing on some guys like Jared Leto. So, again, fuck you, man. Next face shape is the oblong face shape. So the rule of thumb here is this face shape is quite long by default. So if you can add width to it in any way, you'll make it more appealing to the human eye. So for guys, wearing a side sweep or a side part, sorry, can work really well for this face shape because the hair on top of your head is going to be sweeping across the face, which is going to give our eye the illusion of more width. A center or off-center part can also work with this face shape. I know that's confusing because I did just say the oval and diamond work well because it makes it longer, but when you when you put layers in the front with a oblong face shape and cut it off here, it can actually look amazing. So this here is a picture of Tom Peaver from Instagram. Found him when I was doing my Man Buns and Mains research, and here we can clearly see he's got quite a long face with that center part, but you can see in the front there how it kind of curtains off around his cheekbones, and this look really works for him, okay? So it can work, you've just got to know, again, what to do with it. I did mention that exact same thing in my best face shapes for guys with long hair video as well, which you should have checked out before you watched this, okay? So if you haven't, go and do that. Next up, we have the square face shape. So the square face shape for a guy is awesome. Square faces usually have really solid bone structures and really chiseled jawlines, which give us that masculine vibe. But square faces also tend to be the same width as they are tall. So when you're looking for like the optimum part or hairstyling, you'll want to consider something that's going to add more length to the face. Going back to what I mentioned before about the center or off-center part, these are two great options, or if you want to accentuate and make those bold features a lot louder, go for the sweep back and tuck it behind your ears. Tucking it behind your ears is going to give you the length down here to make the face longer, but sweeping it back is going to push those features out and go boom. Look how chiseled I am. Playing with dimensions is actually so fun. Next up, we have the round face. So the round face and the square face are very similar because they're as wide as they are tall. However, a round face, is not chiseled like a square face, okay? So your options are a little bit slimmer. And again, the good old center part with or an off-center part is gonna be optimal for this face shape because it'll help add that length that we want, provided you don't have layers put in the front. So with a round face shape, layers are gonna cut it in and make it look more golf ball-y. And that's not what you want if you're trying to elongate your face or optimize for your look. I feel so like critical saying that because people should be able to have whatever they want and they can, but it's just like dimensions. Next up, we have the triangle face shape. This is the last face shape on the list. So the triangle face is another really bold feature face. The jaw is the widest part, usually very defined, and the cheeks are awesome, and the forehead is quite narrow. So to make this face shape work in terms of proportions, it's more about adding bulk up here or width up here as opposed to anywhere else on the face to help even out how wide your jaw is. Alex Costa is a prime example of the triangle face. If you take a close look, you'll see how much wider his jaw is compared to every other bone structure on his face. So we're talking cheekbones and the forehead bones that sit here. And he offsets it really well by wearing either like a side part or an off-center part. Both of those parts help add bulk to the sides of his head without drawing too much direct attention to the center, which is the narrowest part of his face. And that just balances his whole head out from the bottom half to the top half. Which is why he looks so perfect and has 1 million followers and everyone loves him. And those two parts also do work for men with long hair. If you have a triangle face shape, just make sure you go for each of those or cut. If you're gonna go for the off-center part as well, in particular, I have to tell you this, get the layers cut in the front because remember you're adding bulk up the top, and if you have hair coming down like this, it can just shadow it all out. So having the layers in the top can really help you look better, or can really help accentuate the look. Well, I am all face shaped out and I think it's time for us to part ways. Yes, have another drink. I really hope you found this video useful today, guys. If you have anything extra or informative to add to what I've discussed in this video today, please make sure you leave a comment in the comment section below for all the other community members to read. And please don't forget to smash that cool button that looks like this. Also, if you're a guy wanting to grow your hair out or you want some solid support on your hair growth journey, make sure you join the Man Buns and Mains Facebook group, which you can find in the description box as well, okay? And I'll see you next week for another video. Goodbye!